It began with a small settlement on the banks of the Tiber River. By the time it reached its peak, Rome ruled the Mediterranean, reshaped the ancient world, and laid the foundation for Western civilization. In this episode of History in Under 15 Minutes, we explore how Rome transformed from a republic of citizen soldiers into an empire of emperors, and what that transformation meant for the world. Foundations of the Republic legend says Rome was founded in 753 BCE by Romulus, a mythic warrior raised by wolves. But real history begins a few centuries later, with a federation of Latin and Etruscan tribes who expelled their kings and formed a republic around 509 BCE. Power rested with the Senate and two annually elected consuls, guided by a complex system of checks and balances designed to prevent tyranny. It was an experiment in governance, unlike any the ancient world had seen. Rome's republic wasn't fully democratic. Only elite male citizens had political rights, but it created a model of civic duty, military service, and legal structure that endured for centuries. Expansion through war. From its earliest days, Rome expanded through relentless war. Conflict with neighboring Latin tribes was followed by wars against the Samnites, Etruscans, and eventually the powerful Greek cities in southern Italy. By 275 BCE, Rome had unified the Italian peninsula. Military success was not just about brute force, it was institutional. Roman legions, organized and disciplined, were superior to the looser phalanx formations of their enemies. Soldiers were also landowners, deeply invested in Rome's survival. Rome's system of incorporating conquered peoples, offering them partial citizenship and shared benefits, created a network of allies that fueled further expansion. The Punic Wars, clash of superpowers. Rome's first major global rival was Carthage, a wealthy maritime empire in North Africa. Their conflicts, known as the Punic Wars, defined the next century. The First Punic War, 264 to 241 BCE, gave Rome its first overseas provinces. The Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BCE, was marked by the brilliance of Hannibal, who led his army, including war elephants, across the Alps into Italy. Despite crushing Roman armies at Cannae, he failed to capture Rome itself. In a bold counterstroke, Rome sent Scipio Africanus to attack Carthage directly, defeating Hannibal at Zama. The Third Punic War ended with Carthage's complete destruction in 146 BCE. By then, Rome controlled Spain, North Africa, and Greece. The Republic had become an empire in all but name. Cracks in the Republic conquest brought immense wealth, but also instability. A flood of slaves and riches from conquered territories transformed the Roman economy, widening the gap between rich and poor. Latifundia, massive estates worked by slave labor, displaced small farmers, leading to urban overcrowding and unrest. Corruption flourished in the Senate. Attempts at reform, like those of Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, were met with violence. Political power increasingly shifted to military commanders who had the loyalty of their troops, not the Senate. Generals like Marius and Sulla clashed in bloody civil wars, setting the stage for the Republic's unraveling. Julius Caesar, the point of no return into this volatile landscape, stepped Julius Caesar, a brilliant general, orator, and populist. After conquering Gaul, he crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BCE, defying Senate orders and sparking civil war. "The die is cast," he declared. Within a few years, Caesar defeated his rivals and assumed dictatorial power. Though he enacted popular reforms, land redistribution, debt relief, and calendar reform, many feared he aimed to become king. On the Ides of March in 44 BCE, he was assassinated by a group of senators, including his friend Brutus. But instead of saving the Republic, Caesar's death plunged Rome into deeper chaos. Octavian and the birth of empire. Following Caesar's assassination, Rome descended into another brutal power struggle. His adopted heir, Octavian, formed a political alliance with Mark Antony and Lepidus, the Second Triumvirate, and crushed Caesar's assassins at Philippi. But the alliance quickly fractured. Antony's relationship with Cleopatra of Egypt alarmed the Roman public, and Octavian used it to declare war. At the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, Octavian's forces decisively defeated Antony and Cleopatra. 1 year later, both were dead, and Octavian stood alone. In 27 BCE, Octavian was granted the title Augustus by the Senate. He cleverly maintained the facade of republican institutions while holding absolute power. Thus began the Roman Empire, with Augustus as its first emperor. The Republic was gone, but its institutions, language, and culture remained, now repurposed to serve imperial rule. Pax Romana. The Roman peace Augustus ushered in a period known as the Pax Romana. 200 years of relative peace and stability across the Roman world. Roads, aqueducts, and cities connected a vast empire stretching from Britain to Syria, North Africa to the Rhine. Trade flourished. Roman law standardized governance. Latin and Greek became dominant languages. While emperors varied, some wise like Trajan, others mad like Caligula, the system proved surprisingly resilient. The Roman identity spread, binding millions under a shared culture of citizenship, order, and imperial pride. But even in peace, tensions brewed beneath the surface. The death of the Republic's spirit. Though Augustus claimed to restore the Republic, true Republican values, shared power, civic virtue, and accountability had effectively died with Julius Caesar. What followed was a carefully constructed illusion of republican governance. While institutions like the Senate and public assemblies technically remained, they no longer held real power. Emperors ruled for life, often choosing their successors through adoption or appointment rather than any public process. The Senate became largely ceremonial. Its authority gradually eroded until it functioned more as an imperial advisory council than a legislative body. Dissent was increasingly dangerous. Under emperors like Tiberius and Nero, perceived criticism could lead to exile or execution. At the same time, emperors were elevated to divine status, worshipped as living gods, with temples, festivals, and public rituals devoted to them. Romans, once proud citizen soldiers with a voice in their republic, became subjects under autocratic rule. The shift was as much psychological as political. Many accepted, even embraced, the new order for the peace and prosperity it brought. Writers like Tacitus mourned this trade-off, seeing in it the death of freedom. Rome had exchanged democracy for control, and never looked back. Legacy. The empire that never died. Rome's transformation from republic to empire didn't just shape its own destiny. It shaped the entire course of Western civilization. From Roman law came the foundations of modern legal systems. From Latin, the roots of the Romance languages, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. Roman engineering gave us roads, aqueducts, bridges, and public baths. Its architecture, columns, domes, and amphitheaters still inspires modern cities. The Roman model of governance, even in imperial form, deeply influenced the political thought of the Renaissance and Enlightenment. Even in decline, Rome's cultural and intellectual shadow loomed large. When the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 CE, overrun by Germanic tribes, the eastern half, the Byzantine Empire, endured for nearly 1,000 more years, preserving Roman law, Greek philosophy, and Christian theology. Its capital, Constantinople, became the bridge between antiquity and the medieval world. For centuries afterward, leaders from Charlemagne to Napoleon to the founding fathers of the United States would look back to Rome, both to its republic and its empire. They saw in it both a beacon of greatness and a warning of overreach. Rome became a mirror for those who sought power and those who questioned it. Its story was not just a history, it was a legacy, etched into the very DNA of the modern world. Cliffhanger. Fall of an empire. Rome had risen from a humble tribal settlement along the Tiber River to become the unmatched capital of a sprawling empire that stretched across 3 continents. Its legions had crushed kings, toppled empires, and ruled over more than 60 million people. But even the most powerful empires are not immune to decline. No empire lasts forever. Beneath the marble and grandeur, cracks had long been forming. In Part 2, we'll journey into the final centuries of the Western Roman Empire, a period marked by economic collapse, plagues, political instability, and waves of foreign invasions. We'll see how the once proud legions became shadows of their former strength, how internal corruption eroded the system from within, and how a series of weak emperors failed to hold the center as the edges fell away. From the Gothic invasions to the sack of Rome in 410 CE, from the division between East and West to the final abdication of the last Western emperor in 476 CE, Rome's fall was not a single moment, but a long and painful unraveling. So don't miss what comes next. Subscribe and stay with us as we trace the twilight of history's greatest empire and ask the timeless question: what truly brings down a civilization?